never heard Puff himself personally
Right.
say anything like that. I said before that Eric Von Zip came to the block and he showed me and my friend a check for $1 million. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And he said he got it from Black Ground Records.
You're not going to believe who just flipped on Diddy. After years of silence, the man who once stood between Puff Daddy and the world, his own bodyguard, is taking the stand. And what he's about to reveal could blow the entire hip-hop industry wide open. We're talking secret tapes, encrypted chats, shell companies, and rumors of a plan so dark, it allegedly involved Biggie's final days. But that's just the start, because buried in a steel locker in Jersey might be the one thing that connects it all, from Diddy to Jay-Z to a vault of footage that was never meant to see daylight. This isn't just a trial, this is a reckoning. And once you hear what Marcus is ready to say in court, you'll never look at these music moguls the same again.
Big was leaving the label. Big wanted his marketing back. Big wanted his publishing back. So he found out as being an artist, yo, the money is in the publishing.
Before the headlines, before the courtroom subpoenas, Marcus was just the quiet guy in the background, the one who made sure Diddy never had to worry about a thing. No interviews, no scandals, just silence. For over a decade, Marcus operated in the shadows, hired through an elite security firm that only worked with the biggest names in music. From European tours to late-night studio lockdowns, he wasn't just a witness. He was embedded in the inner circle. Every club appearance, every red carpet moment, every impromptu hotel suite meeting, Marcus was there. He protected Diddy through chaos most people can't imagine. Paparazzi ambushes, rival threats, even whispered warnings from promoters. He's the guy who rerouted jets mid-flight because someone unexpected showed up at a private party. The guy who changed hotel floors last minute because the guest list got too sensitive. And now, he's had enough. After years of keeping receipts, literal shift logs, call records, and encrypted backups, Marcus says he's ready to tell the truth, not just to reporters or podcasts. Under oath, and the wild part, he's not doing it for fame. He turned down a 7-figure movie deal just to make sure nothing interfered with the legal process.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
That alone should tell you, this isn't clout chasing. This is a man who watched the machine from the inside, and now he's ready to expose how deep it really goes. And what triggered him to finally speak out? It wasn't a paycheck. It was a death. Because everything changed the moment Uncle Ron died. What Marcus claims he saw wasn't just celebrity excess. It was something far more organized and far more disturbing. According to federal investigators, and Marcus himself, Diddy didn't just party. He operated like a shadow CEO of a private empire where every move was calculated. Encrypted group chats, code names, pickup schedules for guests who had to surrender their phones at the door, NDAs signed before entry, rooms with no cameras, staff instructed to disappear before sunrise. It wasn't just hospitality, it was a system. And when the feds followed the money, the trail got even messier. There were luxury shopping sprees that conveniently lined up with signed non-disclosure agreements, designer duffels filled with cash that vanished into thin air, allegedly hush payments labeled as event support fees.
I like when you like this, Daddy.
Yeah, where you put my bag
Daddy,
at?
I like when you just blow it out. It's your birthday every day.
Every day's your birthday on Drink Champs.
You heard what he just said, right?
Investigators say the whole thing was built to protect the image, suppress leaks, and keep the wrong people quiet. But Marcus, he remembers everything. He claims he saw guests leave those penthouse parties visibly shaken. He recalls nights where medical professionals were flown in under aliases, then gone before dawn, rooms where no one used real names, and doors that stayed locked with triple deadbolts. He says it was never about one incident. It was about a pattern, a culture, a web of intimidation and manipulation that blurred the line between power and abuse. But Marcus isn't just pointing fingers at Diddy, because some of those encrypted messages, some of those names on the guest lists, they hint at someone else behind the curtain, and that's when Jay-Z's name enters the chat. If you know anything about this case, then you've heard the name Uncle Ron, a former insider, a man with nothing to lose, and the first person to publicly accuse Diddy and Jay-Z of orchestrating one of hip-hop's darkest alleged betrayals. Just last year, Uncle Ron dropped a bombshell. He posted a video accusing Diddy and Jay-Z of playing a role in the death of Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace. Not just beef, not just rivalry, an orchestrated move to control the East Coast market.
Like when we had got hit with Hit 'Em Up, I had to make the call to Biggie. I said, we're not gonna respond. Somebody's gonna get hurt if we respond. Tupac hit us with Hit 'Em Up, and that joint was cold.
And then, less than 24 hours later, Uncle Ron was dead. The official report claimed pneumonia, but the internet wasn't buying it. Within hours, the video disappeared. His family disabled comments, scrubbed uploads, and locked everything down. Fast. Too fast. Reddit lit up. YouTube conspiracy channels started digging. Fans started asking the obvious. If there was nothing to hide, why erase everything so fast? Marcus saw the signs too, and he believes Uncle Ron knew something might happen. He says they had conversations, real ones, about the risk, and Uncle Ron allegedly left behind a trail, thumb drives, voice memos, even handwritten notes locked in safe houses. He wasn't trying to go viral, he was trying to leave a map. And that steel case investigators found in a storage locker rented under an alias, the one with DV tapes labeled by date and city, that might have been part of it. Because whatever was on those tapes could tie everything together. And that's exactly why Marcus says he had to speak up, before someone made sure he couldn't. But the deeper you go into Ron's allegations, the clearer it gets. This isn't just about Diddy. It might be about something much, much bigger. And one name keeps floating to the surface: Jay-Z. While the public was busy debating if Uncle Ron's death was just a coincidence, the feds were already drilling open a storage locker in New Jersey. What they found? A steel case, locked tight, registered under an alias connected to an old Bad Boy tour manager. Inside were dozens of DV tapes, labeled not with names, but cities and dates.
You know what I'm saying? I was listening to that. You know, we were actually like on people's turntables. A DJ would play that. We would just end the party and just
take that off.
No, we would take the turntable. We would take your turntables. You played Hit 'Em Up.
Miami, Dubai, Los Angeles, Paris, each one marked with eerie precision, like breadcrumbs from someone who knew these moments might matter someday. And according to sources close to the investigation, some of those tapes are already being stabilized by forensic techs. These aren't YouTube vlogs or behind-the-scenes clips. We're talking raw, unedited footage, possibly of closed-door meetings, alleged gatherings, and maybe even moments where key decisions were made. Marcus believes these tapes could be the missing link, the visual confirmation of what he and Uncle Ron spent years whispering about behind the scenes. A way to take this case from he said, she said, to cold, irrefutable evidence. And here's the twist. Marcus says Uncle Ron told him about the case before he died, dropped subtle hints in their last conversation, serial numbers, timestamps, even names to watch for. Now imagine this. You've got federal agents matching those serial numbers to hard drives seized from Diddy's homes, and metadata syncing perfectly with Marcus's logs. That's no longer just a witness. That's a walking archive. And it gets darker. Because Marcus says this is why he disappeared for 2 years. First to a cabin in Ontario, then to an eco-village in Costa Rica, living fully off-grid. He wasn't hiding from the law. He was hiding from the people who didn't want these tapes to surface. But now, the chain of custody is official. The courtroom is waiting. And if those reels really show what Marcus claims they do, this case could shift from scandal to collapse. Here's where things get messy. Because the deeper you follow the paper trails and encrypted chats, the more one name keeps echoing in the background: Jay-Z. Now, to be clear, Hav hasn't been charged with anything. His team is quick to deny every rumor, every allegation, every whisper tying him to any of this. But Marcus, he's telling a different story. He says Jay-Z wasn't just a bystander in Diddy's circle. He was a strategic partner. And according to Marcus, that partnership went beyond music collabs and business deals.
Because you listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
He claims there were private meetings, late-night calls, coordinated travel plans, and, most damning of all, untraceable conversations about who needed to be left out of certain deals, parties, and platforms. That's where the story gets radioactive. Because Marcus, and previously Uncle Ron, both allege that Biggie's death wasn't just an industry tragedy. They say it was a power move, a way to remove an unpredictable variable from the board and give full control of East Coast dominance to Diddy and Jay. And right after that, The takeover began. Bad Boy rose. Rockefeller exploded. Gatekeepers were born. Now Jay-Z's team calls that narrative offensive. They say it's internet fiction fueled by bitter ex-employees and failed hustlers. But look around. Something's shifting behind the scenes. PR teams are going into overdrive. Beyoncé's tour security just tripled. Sources say every backstage entrance now goes through 3 separate layers of private intelligence. Just precaution, of course. And then there's the brand movement. Sponsors quietly reviewing their deals. Distributors inserting exit clauses. Even Roc Nation's media partners are reportedly combing through old contracts, just in case this thing snowballs. Because here's the truth. Even if Jay-Z walks away untouched legally, Marcus's testimony might still change the way people see him. Not as a mogul, not as a blueprint, but as a co-architect of something much darker. And if that perception sticks, it could undo decades of image building in a matter of weeks. This isn't just a courtroom drama anymore. It's turning into a full-scale industry meltdown. Behind the scenes, brands are pulling the plug.
The detective from LA, he did both of them accidentally, ended up having to do one, ended up finding out more about the other one as well. Where do you stand with what happened with Tupac? Think Puff was a part of it?
I never heard Puff say anything about doing anything, Tupac. Or Suge.
Right.
I've heard people around Puff say things.
Quietly, carefully, and without a press release, streaming platforms are reportedly downranking Bad Boy's biggest hits, just in case public outrage spikes. Legacy playlists that once opened with Mo Money Mo problems are now mysteriously reshuffled. Coincidence? Maybe. But insiders say it's a preemptive move to avoid backlash. Diddy's liquor partners, Ciroc and DeLeon, have begun distancing themselves. One European distributor ended its contract completely, citing brand misalignment. Translation? Too risky. Too hot. And that's not all. Marketing decks leaked on Discord show that multiple sponsors tied to Diddy's fashion, fragrance, and TV ventures inserted felony clauses that allow them to walk away if he's convicted. Some already have. Others are waiting for the trial's first big blow before cutting ties mid-contract. But it's not just about Diddy. This entire case is forcing the music industry to reckon with how it does business. Managers, assistants, and legal teams are suddenly scrambling to review their past NDAs, payouts, and party lists. Why? Because if Marcus's testimony reveals that this kind of culture was normalized, then the next subpoenas might not stop at Combs. Insurance companies that once underwrote massive tours and brand launches are reevaluating their policies.
So Fab, how was your birthday, man?
Yeah,
and what was your wish?
I like vibes. You know what I mean? I like a good vibe more than like wanting for anything. Like, you know what I mean?
There are whispers that major underwriters are adding Combs carve-outs to avoid liability for anything tied to him. Entire promotional budgets have been frozen. The empire isn't just shaking, it's crumbling from the foundation. And artists who once idolized the grind, the deals, the mogul lifestyle, now they're looking at it sideways. Some are deleting tracks, others are cutting ties with affiliates, but all of them are watching and waiting to see if Marcus takes this thing all the way to the finish line. Because if his receipts hold up, the days of untouchable moguls may be officially over. For Marcus, this isn't about revenge. It's not about clout. And it sure as hell isn't about a paycheck. In fact, he turned one down. A Hollywood production company offered him a 7-figure deal, just for the option to tell his story. He said no, because this isn't a movie to him. This is real life. And real lives were destroyed behind the scenes. Marcus says he's speaking out now because of one thing. Uncle Ron didn't make it, and someone had to finish what he started. He's not doing press tours. He's not selling merch. He's not chasing followers. He's been off the grid, living in remote areas, teaching self-defense to teens in Costa Rica, dodging subpoenas until the feds finally caught up with him. And when they did, he didn't run. He relieved. Because for the first time, he didn't have to hide anymore. He could finally speak on the record, under oath, and tell the truth without worrying which phone line was tapped or which old friend might be setting him up.
He was very close friends with Eric Von Zip. According to Keefe, Zip was the one that provided the gun. The $1 million payment for Pac's murder was supposed to go through Zip, and then handed over to Keefe D.
He says he knows the risks, that the intimidation tactics might start the second his deposition begins, that he'll lose friends, burn bridges, and probably become a target for everything from internet trolls to high-powered attorneys. But what he didn't expect were the private messages from other bodyguards, other assistants, other people who were once told to stay silent. They thanked him for showing it was possible to step forward, for for proving that no matter how powerful someone is, truth doesn't have to stay buried. Marcus says that's the only reason he's still pushing forward. Because if his story inspires one agency to set better boundaries, one artist to ditch toxic handlers, or one company to protect their people before their profit, then the fallout he's about to face might actually be worth it. This trial isn't just about Diddy, it's about an entire system that's operated in the shadows for decades, built on loyalty, intimidation, and the illusion that the powerful can never fall. But now, that illusion is cracking. With Marcus on the stand and Uncle Ron's ghost hanging over every detail, the courtroom is set to become a battleground for the soul of the industry. Prosecutors aren't just going after hush money and hotel invoices. They're building a case that could redefine how celebrity power is investigated, exposed, and punished.
Do you think Diddy had anything to do with that?
It wouldn't surprise me if he did. Because if you look at my interview with T.K. Kirkland,
legal scholars are already comparing it to United States versus Epstein, or the trial that shattered glam rock royalty in the early 2000s. But the difference here is the scale. We're talking vodka empires, television networks, fashion labels, cannabis licenses, esports investments, and multi-million-dollar charter schools, all tied to Combs in one way or another. A guilty verdict could send shockwaves through every one of those industries. Investors are already preparing for the worst. Sponsors are backing away. The dominoes have started to fall. And then there's the unspoken threat. If Marcus's testimony connects the dots, from secret tapes to encrypted chats, from Uncle Ron's claims to real-world receipts, then this doesn't stop at Diddy. It could open the door to civil suits against Jay-Z. It could pressure streaming platforms to erase legacies. It could expose a blueprint of influence and exploitation that's been quietly running in the background of hip-hop's biggest moments. For Marcus, it's no longer about survival. It's about clearing the smoke, about giving names to whispers, about putting truth on record in a way that no brand deal or PR crisis can bury. And now, time's up. The court date is set. The transcripts are locked in. The jury is coming. And in just a few weeks, a man who once stood silently in the shadows will walk into a courtroom, swear to tell the truth, and pull the curtain back on an empire. Will it dismantle a legend, or just add another chapter to hip-hop's darkest mythology? We're about to find out. If you've made it this far, you already know this story isn't just drama. It's history in the making. So now we want to hear your take. Do you think Marcus is telling the truth? Was Uncle Ron silenced? And if the tapes really exist, what happens to Jay-Z, Bad Boy, and the legacy they built? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everything. And if you want to stay locked in as this trial unfolds, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because trust me, this is just the beginning.